The entire night. And with that, physically, there'll be a foul here on Kenny Lofton Jr. More free throws for the Warriors. But because of that physical defense, it wears you down. It gets into your legs. But what it also does is it makes you try to do a little bit more. And with that doing a little bit more, it gets you out of your rhythm. And I thought that Dylan did a great job of getting them out of their rhythm, meaning Steph Curry.
Grizzlies will also go to 6
entire night. And with that, physically, there'll be a foul on Kenny Lofton Jr. More free throws for the Warriors. But because of that physical defense, it wears you down. It gets into your legs. But what it also does is it makes you try to do a little bit more. And with that doing a little bit more, it gets you out of your rhythm. And I thought that Dylan did a great job of getting them out of their rhythm, meaning Steph Curry. Because of that physical defense, it gets you out of your rhythm. And I thought that Dylan did a great job of getting them out of their rhythm, meaning Steph Curry.
Grizzlies will also go.
It gets you out of your rhythm. And I thought that Dylan did a great job of getting them out of their rhythm, meaning Steph Curry.
Grizzlies will also go to 6 and 4.
Dylan did a great job of getting.
Get it right back to Lomax.
You better
no
get
foul
it
yet. 16 seconds left.
Get a foul, guys.
They turned it over. Davis with 9 seconds. He tripped to the ground. A scramble. This has it. And they call a tie-up. And the arrow favors the Owls. Memphis was trying to get a timeout. Hardaway was on the ground. But instead of a timeout, it's a tie-up. And now the Owls call a timeout with 5 seconds on the clock.
I mean, what a bad turnover by Memphis, really. And surprisingly, that FAU didn't foul right away. It was only 17 seconds to go. You're down 1, you have to foul. And this is just a really bad turnover. He left his feet.
And take a look at the end of this play, because Penny Hardaway was asking his son Jaden, did you try to call timeout? You see, Lomax was trying to call a timeout.
Yeah, they did try, but this is something that's not reviewable. You're going to see it right here.
Right on the ground, Jaden Hardaway.
Oh,
and
yeah.
then Davis and Lomax on Memphis both trying to call timeout, but it wasn't granted. And instead, the tie-up with the possession arrow favoring. Here's Boyd. 5 seconds left. Boyd drives, scores with 2.5. Lomax at midcourt. McCadden doesn't get it off, and the Owls win it. The first NCAA tournament win in Florida Atlantic history. And it comes in dramatic fashion over Memphis.
For the best soul food in the Mid-South, it's say 1499 South 3rd, 901-946-4303. Serving breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And some of the items on their menu consist of catfish, spaghetti, chicken and dressing, turkey wings, meatloaf, fried chicken, cabbage, yams, greens, salmon croquette, and the list goes on. Some of the best soul food you ever taste in the Mid-South, it is Shop and Save. 1499 South 3rd. Call them again at 901-946-4303. Been in this since 1991. Shop and Save, 1499 South 3rd, 901-946-4303 for some of the best soul food you'll ever taste.
I watch y'all coming here for years, cause you shot somebody. Now your life is shot. You gonna pick that phone up one day, and that girl gonna be done dumped you and raise your child with another man. Or maybe your mama or your grandmama dies. Cause ain't nothing you can do about it. You got 15 to 20 years, state or fed time. Real talk. Don't lose your head, use your head, man. Gun crime, max time.
Let's get it on the grind, head on the line. Gotta stay focused, gotta keep a sound mind. It's go hard or go home, go low.
All right, we are live. It is 11:31 p.m. in Central Standard Time, 12:30 Eastern Standard Time. It is a late night edition of Talk Sports Live right here on Talkback Live Network. Unadvertised, unexpected, but here I am, man. And I've been wanting to do this over the past couple of days because so much going on that I want to talk about. You know, get busy and you can't do some of the things you want to do sometimes. But nonetheless, I'm here. I know a lot of people are still up because of the NCAA tournament going late into the night. And those of you that are up enough to join me here today, it is greatly appreciated. So once again, this is Talk Sports Live. I'm your host, Joshua Midgett, here in the building, man. Glad to be with y'all here on tonight. Once again, here on in the Talkback Live Network studios. And again, glad to be here tonight. So much going on. The NCAA tournament is in full effect. The Sweet 16 is beginning to take form over the last day or so of matchups. The round of 32 was today, and we're beginning to see the separations start to take place, so to speak, when it comes to the best of the best in college basketball. And not only that, you got the Memphis Grizzlies out here playing ball. You got the John Morant situation that has somewhat reached a certain point of moving forward instead of floating in rumor, speculation, and innuendo. I want to try to get to some of those things today because all week long I've had loud thoughts. You know, it's one of those things where, you know, when you think about shows or things you want to talk about, you got it all in your head, man. You just got to try to find the moment or the time to actually put it out there to the public. And now, as late as it is, I'm like, I gotta get this out there right now. I can't wait another day. I can't wait another hour or find another reason to not be able to disseminate the things I got to say because the people need to hear it. So I appreciate y'all that are joining in right now. If you're watching, go ahead and hit that like button for me. Hit that share button for me. It's greatly appreciated. We're live here on Talkback Live with Bob and Josh Facebook page. We're also live on my personal Facebook page, Josh C. Midgett. Also live on YouTube, Talkback Live Network. Talkback Live Network on YouTube as well. So we're live on all of those platforms. And we appreciate each and every one of y'all for joining me on tonight. So, as I said, I'm going to get on into this. More y'all are coming in. Greatly appreciate it. But here's the thing. All right. Let's start with last night. Last night was a night. Around this time last night, as a matter of fact, many of us were in a daze. Many of us were sitting up, staring at the wall, staring at the TV in shock and awe, in stunned silence at what we had just witnessed when it comes to the NCAA tournament and the Memphis Tigers basketball team. What's up, GKP? I see you, man. Good to see you tonight. And Bob in the building as well. Just saying good evening to everybody. And all y'all to come in, if you're watching, go ahead, leave a comment. Like GKP likes to say, if you're watching, don't just sit there quiet. Come in the room. Come on, speak to a brother. So much appreciated when it comes to that as well by hitting the comment section. So, again, many of us last night were in a daze, a stunned silence, shock and awe, whatever you want to say, when it came to the finish of the Memphis Tigers basketball game in the NCAA tournament against Florida Atlantic University. And I was one of those. I can't even lie because I'm a big sports fan. I think there's a difference between people that say, yeah, I'm a sports fan and a sports fan. I'm on the second end of that, being a sports fan. A person that says, yeah, I like sports, meaning they watch, sometimes they may watch just to bet on games. They may not even know any of the players on either team. They know the Tigers play in blue and the other team is in red. You know, that's about it when it comes to that. And that's, you know, respect to you if you're that person. But me, as a sports fan, as particularly a fan of the Memphis Tigers, you know these players. You know who they are. You know where they come from. You know the coaches. You know the situation surrounding this game. You know the journey it's taken for Penny Hardaway to get to this point. You know the journey it's taken to get to this point where he has a team that he can trust, an experienced team, a team that knows how to do things in certain situations. That's why you go to the transfer portal and get a DeAndre Williams, get a Kendrick Davis, get an Elijah McCatton, get a Keontae Kennedy who's not able to play because of that injury he suffered during the regular season, which I think ended up biting the Tigers in the behind in the NCAA tournament because he was not able to play. But that was not the reason they lost, because they still had it there. This, to me, and I think GKP just summed it up in perfect fashion, was one of, if not the most crushing losses I've experienced as a fan of the Tigers. Now, that's saying something, y'all. Because if you've been a Tigers fan any amount of time, if you've been a Memphis sports fan for any amount of time, you've been crushed. Repeatedly. Going back to before I was born, Memphis fans, whether it's Tigers, whether it's Grizzlies, whether it's Tigers football, probably even Memphis Showboats, I don't know. When it comes to Memphis sports history, if one thing that Memphis fans are accustomed to is getting their feelings crushed and stomped on in the most unceremonious of fashions. And I think it's safe to say last night was one of those fashions. I mean, going back, man, I remember Mario Chalmers. You know, the three-pointer he hit over Derrick Rose in the national championship game. You know, staying up late, having to go to school that Monday and watching that game. One of the greatest teams in college basketball history. That history has been erased to a certain degree with John Calipari's Memphis Tigers that year. Coming that close to winning a national title, but having it stripped away because of Derrick Rose's inability to hit free throws late, and Mario Chalmers hitting a clutch shot late. I've seen Darius Washington in what I believe was one of the first games in FedEx Forum in the Conference USA Championship game. Darius Washington Jr., you right on it, GKP. You we were thinking on the same leaf. I think you typed it right when I started talking about Darius Washington Jr. running down the court against Louisville, getting fouled while shooting a three in the most improbable of circumstances, and missing those last two, and that team not being able to make the NCAA tournament because of that situation. So we've been crushed before as Memphis Tigers fans. Darius Washington, Derrick Rose, Mario Chalmers, all of those circumstances. Lots of things in the past that have happened if you're a Tiger fan that you've suffered through. But last night is up there to me because we just knew things were going to be different this time. We just knew Penny's got an experienced team this time. We just knew this team is not covered with freshmen that make freshman mistakes anymore. We knew we came off our first American tournament championship, beating the number one team in the country, Houston Cougars, in the American championship game, proving that this Tigers team can compete with anybody in the country, to the point that many people were picking the Tigers as a sleeper team to go to the Sweet 16 or Elite 8, or possibly further. And the last thing we expected as Tigers fans was that the ride would come to a screeching halt against the Florida Atlantic University Owls. The Owls. The Owls of Florida Atlantic ended the Tigers' journey. Still even hard to think about it right now. And I think it's the way it happened that made it so bad. Because I don't care what people want to say. I respect Florida Atlantic. They're good. They're well coached. Like Josh Pastor used to say about every team the Tigers played, every one of them, whether they deserved it or not, they're a good team. They're well coached. They've got great players. All the generic things you want to say. Whatever. The Tigers were better than them. If you know basketball and you know sports and you know what you were looking at, the Tigers had the better team. But on credit to Florida Atlantic, they capitalized when they needed to. They hit shots when they needed to. But the question becomes, and I'm going to put it on the screen. The question becomes, were the Tigers robbed last night? Did we see a case of robbery of Grand Theft Auto tonight by the referees? Yes or no? Y'all give me your thoughts, man. I'm curious. What do you think? Do you think the Tigers were robbed by the referees last night? Now, I know, some of y'all may say, okay, Josh, this is sour grapes you got. That, here you go, blaming the refs. This is unbecoming of you to stoop to such a level. Well, look here. If you paid attention to media, social media, TV media, whatever media you want to look at, there are many people that have zero connections to the Memphis Tigers, to the city of Memphis, or anything to do with Memphis, that were on the record saying that the Tigers were clearly robbed last night, especially in the key circumstances of that second scramble that in when the Tigers were up 65-64 with 19.8 seconds left and the ball. Unfortunately, and I hate to do this to y'all, but we must do this to come to a conclusion to this question. Let's relive the moment briefly, and you tell me where the Tigers robbed.
They get it to Davis, right back to Lomax. You better get foul it yet. 16 seconds left.
You're foul, guys.
Oh, they turn it over! Davis with 9 seconds to the ground. A scramble. Memphis has it. And they call a tie-up, and the arrow favors the Owls. Memphis was trying to get a timeout. Hardaway was on the ground, but instead of a timeout, it's a tie-up. And now the Owls call a timeout with 5 seconds on the clock.
I mean, what a bad turnover by Memphis, really. And I'm surprised it didn't foul right away. It was only 17 seconds to go. You're down 1, you have to foul. And this is just a really bad turnover. He left his feet.
And take a look at the end of this play, because Penny Hardaway was asking his son Jaden, did you try to call timeout? You see, Lomax was trying to call a timeout.
Yeah, they did try. But this is something that's not reviewable. You're going to see it right here.
Right on the ground, Jaden Hardaway.
Oh,
and then Davis and Lomax on Memphis both trying to call timeout, but it wasn't granted. And instead, the tie-up with the possession arrow favoring.
So there's that. I don't even want to see this layup because the defense was so piss poor, pathetic to let that man just walk to the rim and score that layup. I'm just going to get angry all over again. But let's focus on the refs here for a moment, because the Tigers deserve all the blame on that last play because the defense was so bad. I don't know, did they lose their minds for a minute? Did they travel to another universe in their thinking? Because it was the worst defense of the season on the last play of the season. Just unspeakable. But when you look at what we just saw, we saw two players in Kendrick Davis, and I believe that was Lomax, both right in front of the referee calling timeout at the same time as Jaden Hardaway had possession of the basketball. The referee looked right past both of them to the floor to give Florida Atlantic enough time to grab the ball and call for a jump ball. Another thing, too, that bothers me to no end. The stupidest, dumbest, ridiculousest, I know it's not a word, but I'm saying it tonight because I want to say what I want to say. How in the world are we still using the possession arrow in college basketball? You don't think these kids can't jump for the ball on their own? You don't think these kids can't jump for the ball on their own? Unbelievable. I don't get it. I just don't get it. Watching here, I see the viewership numbers suddenly dropped, so I'm curious, hoping no technical issues have occurred. Let me know if y'all can still see me and hear me well, because it went from almost 10 to 1 in 1 second. I know y'all ain't running off that quickly. So y'all let me know if everything's smooth. It looks smooth on my end, but hopefully everything is straight. So checking my phone. It seems like it seems to be good. Not sure what's going on there. Let me take a quick pause and we'll get right back here because I'm just getting into it. I want to lose track here.